whatever that's the cat for it.
Hi everybody, how you doing?
Hello, James.
All good?
Hello.
I think it'd be better if it would warm up a bit.
Or if the rain would stop, which it has for the moment.
Awful, isn't it? Terrible weather.
When you consider it's been the wettest May since records began. I mean, it's like, not good. At least the grass is very green.
I'm joining you from the church office at the back of the church because I've got the computer in here, so I can go and take the choir practice at 7:30 straight after.
Oh, there's a setup. You look as if you're in a swimming pool.
But yeah, we've got Wi-Fi in church now, and it's
Fabulous.
working good.
That's excellent. Great to hear, folks. Evening, Heather. How are you?
Hi there. Hi, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you. How was your trip, Doug?
Miserable day.
Oh, gosh. Tell me about it. How was your trip, Doug?
Very tiring. It was windy down south, so on the way there they closed the Dartford Bridge. So 2 streams of traffic were going through the tunnel. So that was about an extra 2.5 hours on the journey, just crawling along slowly. So exhausting business.
Yeah.
This the time, then coming back it was fine. Even so, it's a long journey, 340 odd miles.
It is a long journey. It would be worth
I'm
it.
still recovering. Oh yes, yeah. That's not to mention the grandkids who absolutely tire you out. But never mind. I'm too old.
Get away, Doug. Hey, Lindsay, how are you?
I'm fine, absolutely fine.
Oh, good. How's the wrist?
It's still broken, but it's getting better. It's getting better.
Good. So you're managing to do a few things, are you?
Yeah, I can get the milk out the fridge now.
Can you get the wine out, though? That's the problem.
No, I don't think it's empty.
Right, let's see who we are waiting for. We have Forbes, we have Lindsay, we have Doug and Heather and Anne and James. Maggie's not here yet. Emma has been detained, and Graham, he's normally just a little bit late. So I'll just use my other screen just so we've got a little bit more room to maneuver. And we'll make a start. So I'm just going to share my screen right now. Okay. That should be working in a moment or two. Okay. Right, so this evening, it is 6 o'clock, isn't it? I'm not jumping the gun. Yes, a minute past, so I am allowed to start. So this evening, I need to just go through a few things with you that we need to do for this course for the accreditation. So not an awful lot to do, but I do have to mention those things. First thing we'll look at is the ILJ. It's not a massive piece of work. Can everybody see that okay? Is it, yeah, it's coming up so you can see it fine, okay. So basically what you've done before, but I've tried to condense it as much as possible. So basically just pop your name on it and then scroll through, and then it's asking, as usual, for a personal response to certain things. So you don't have to, write a book, just pop in a few lines of text. Activities that help you learn best, you can just put in a tick or a cross next to those. What you can do already, so any Photoshop related image editing, you could pop that down there. Maybe there's 5 things you can do, maybe there isn't, but you just put in what you can there. and then how confident you are. So 1 is not confident, 4 is very, and that's just working down that list. When we come to targets, what I'd like to do in the future, so the main course target is your overall goal. So that could be something like import images into Lightroom, create a collection, and organise a digital workflow, something like that, which is pretty reasonable as an overall target. You may have something different, and that's basically an example. Steps to achieve it, so practice, practice, more practice, and just sort of getting additional files to practice with. You've downloaded the course files, but as we do different projects, we'll have additional files that we need to work on, and then I have to put my comment in there. Okay, and then there's a number of projects, so import images into Lightroom Classic, project 1, so that's just going back to the class images. Target for this project is just basically to import the images, and then it goes on project 2, edit the raw file, which we've already done, week 1 and week 2. Project 3, cropping an image and correcting perspective. That is in Lightroom Classic, because we have mentioned that Lightroom is divided into 2. So we've got Lightroom, the lightweight version, and Lightroom Classic, the fully functional version. And I was thinking that it would be good to cover maybe over 1 week or 2 weeks Lightroom as well. Just so that you've got an understanding of both, because you pay for both, and it may be that you prefer the watered down version. Okay, so what are your thoughts on that, Lindsay? What do you think?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. If we pay for both, because it's not something I ever open. So yeah.
Okay.
Is it significantly different from Classic?
It is actually, yeah. It looks different. Yeah. And so I mean, yeah. If you spent a lot of time, you could figure it out. But it's probably easier just to spend a class on it and be shown what it can do and how it syncs and how it can be useful if you say traveling. You might want to use that just for quick edits, that type of thing. And then you can access it wherever you've got an internet connection. And the other good thing, I don't know if anybody's actually downloaded on your phone, you can get a Lightroom app for free. And that's really useful because you can use that for quick edits, and it can do a lot more than some of the standard apps. So you just go to the App Store or the Play Store if you're using Android, and just search for Lightroom. Okay, but it's a very useful app to have for your phone. So, and then of course all of this can sync together, and then it just makes it easier if you want to see your photos on your phone as well. So just to continue with that. So I'm assuming everybody's agreeing with Lindsay that you all want to do that. Is that right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think that'd be really useful.
Okay, that's fine. So we'll do that. We'll include that because after all, this is just a 9-week course. It is a shorter one. Project 4, sharpening. So we're going to look at that tonight. Colour and luminance masks, project 5, we're going to look at that tonight. Working with Lightroom, so that is really project 6, so that's going to be like a personal project you can add in there, and that can be anything. Okay, and then the final project, again, that will put something in whichever is appropriate for the final project, depends how far we get. Okay, so there isn't really that much to do. I've made it easy by making a Word document of this thing, and so basically all you've got to do is just download it from Classroom, and then you can just say maybe add some content and then upload it for the class after half term. But obviously we're not here next week for half term, then we'll come back the following week. Okay.
So, Jade, can I just ask? I mean, it might be a stupid question, but are we loading images onto this, or is this all to be sort of us telling you what we've done?
They do like images, so you can add. Yeah, they do like images. If you can add an image, that's better, because obviously it is a very visual course. So not a stupid question at all. So yeah, where appropriate, where we're looking at the projects anyway, I think it makes sense to add images. So we've got that to do. Okay. This is the beauty of when you do full cost, you haven't got any of this, but we do have that to do. And then we've also got a short PowerPoint, which is only 9 slides, so it's not a massive piece of work, and one of those is the title slide. So this is mainly made up of screenshots. So this you can do at any time. We just need this week 8 of the course, and obviously it's week 3 tonight. To start off with that, take a screenshot of the Lightroom interface. Does everyone know how to take a screenshot? Yeah?
No, I don't, yeah.
No? Okay, so
No.
Anne, you're using Windows or using a Mac? Windows.
Windows.
Yeah. So on your Windows machine, if you look at the keyboard, you'll see you've got a key with print screen on it. So PRTSC or PRTSCR, yeah. So
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
if you press that key, it simply takes a photo of the whole of the screen that you've got open. So that is everything, okay. If you're just wanting like a dialogue box, you can press Alt and print screen, and that will just take the box. But for the purpose of this, you press that key. It takes a snapshot of the screen that you're currently on, and it goes onto the clipboard, which is just like copy and paste. So it sits on the clipboard. You then go into this interface, into this slide, and then you just press Control and V or edit and paste, and that pastes it into the slide. And then it's just like a picture. You just pull it in either end. Okay. So that's just a screenshot of the open Lightroom. The next one is a screenshot of the library module showing thumbnails. So with Lightroom open, this is the library module. So that's just a screenshot of that. Okay. So you don't have to write anything. Screenshot of a collection. So if you can do your classroom collection, so you would just show it on the left that it's selected, and then you've got all of the images showing on the right. So I'll just scroll down so you can see Lightroom class images. It's the target collection. How do we know it's the target collection, Forbes?
To work at.
Oh, you were breaking up a bit there, Forbes.
Sorry, I was saying it's the one that you'd stick on edit or develop and work on and edit.
So I know it's already a target collection. How do I know?
Would you have it saved in the after the imports in the?
Well, it will save automatically, but there's a little symbol. If you look just to the right of Lightroom class images, where I'm just kind of moving my cursor, you'll see the plus. That just indicates it's the target collection. Okay, so I haven't changed it, and it means that I can just go through any of the images I have in Lightroom, press B, and then those images will be added to this collection. That just makes life a lot easier. Okay, so
I've just made a note of that.
Okie doke. So Graham, welcome. We're just going through what we've got to do for a little bit of accreditation for the course. So we've got an ILJ that I've just explained what was what. I am recording the session because Emma can't be here tonight, so you can always play that little bit back if you want to see it. So
Okay,
now,
thanks, Jim.
no problem. So now we're just going through. We don't have a lot to do. It's basically screenshots. So we're up to slide 4, screenshot of a collection.
Jane, what did you say you pressed, sorry, to add the image?
It's the letter B for Bertie.
B for Bertie.
Yeah,
Thank
so
you.
just B on the keyboard. So once you have set any collection as the target collection, and so you could choose any collection you like, right click and choose set as target collection, then that will make that the new one. So at the moment my collection is Lightroom class images, and that's got the plus, so we know that's the target and that's the one I can add to. Okay. So, screenshot of an image in the develop module, including basic panel adjustments. So that would just simply be, we have a picture, so it's showing selected in library. Then if I press D for develop, it takes me into the develop module. I would then open my basic panel and apply the basic adjustments to that picture, and then press the screenshot button, or on a Mac it would just be Command Shift and 4. Okay. So back to here. Lightroom work displayed via the slideshow module. We'll do that later. I'll show you how to do that. And then crop and straighten, we're going to do that tonight. So that's a before and an after image. Slide 8, convert into black and white, we do that. And then the last one is colour pop. So it's not too much to do, but it just shows, you know, that we have actually achieved certain learning outcomes. All right, so we've got that and we've got the ILJ. So not a great deal of work, but if anybody needs any help, don't hesitate to ask. Okay, so we just add to that piecemeal as we're going through the course. Okay, right, so we'll just pick up where we left off. And where we left off was we have to start work on part 2, just to cover a few things when it comes to cropping and straightening. And then we've got another handout which we're going to look at, and that's dealing with perspective in Lightroom. Okay, so I've just jumped into Lightroom now. I'm in the library module. If I click on text, then that brings up the powerful search feature. So we're looking for a particular image. So I'll demo this first, then you just ask questions as we go through. So it's TYLR22. So I've got a before and an after of that image. I can choose each one, either one. So I'm just going to click to select the first one. You might pick up the black and white one, doesn't matter at all. And then again, we press D once we've selected our picture in library, and that takes us into the develop module. Okay, so once we are in develop, a very useful shortcut for the crop tool is to press R. Okay, and then when you press R, that opens up the crop tool dialog box, and then you're ready to work with that. So here within that box we have an auto button, and so that can be particularly useful if you just want to perform an auto straighten. So it will attempt to straighten the photo for you. So we'll be coming back to more on that later. But the first thing, if I click on the little padlock, then what that's done, it's locked the crop to the original image size. And then you'll find that you can drag from the bottom right hand corner. So if I drag inwards, do you see how it will jump? If I do it again, so I'm just dragging inwards and it jumps to portrait orientation. And so that's really quite a useful feature we're still keeping the original image integrity, but it could be that we wish to go from, say, landscape to portrait, and that's a way we can do it. And then we can always rotate and move that crop box if we wish to keep that particular orientation in portrait. Okay. Otherwise, you can just drag out until you get to the crop actual size that you like, and then again you can move that crop box around the picture space until you get it into like a pleasing crop that you're happy with. When you've got that pleasing crop, you can then simply hit enter or click done. Okay, so I'll just pause there while you do that bit. And so that's just going to library, doing a search for the image TYLR22, opening it in the develop module, pressing R for crop, and then locking the original image crop ratio, and then just seeing how you can perform that jump. Okay.
Jane, is there a key press for the search when you're in the library mode to enter text?
Let me just go back. I'll just reset it for you. Right, so the only thing I do is I click on text. I'll certainly look to see if there's a shortcut. Haven't actually found the need to use one. Just simply, with clicking on text, but there could well be. I'll make a note of that and see if there's a shortcut. I am going to upload some shortcuts for you to Classroom.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem.
I seem to be missing that library filter, but maybe I've got it switched off in here or something.
Can you see?
Okay.
T
Yeah,
for text.
show filter bar. Yes, I must have had that one ticked before. Yeah, it's come up now. Thank you. Yeah.
Jane, it's not letting me move it around for some reason. I'm not sure what I'm doing wrong. I put it on the lock and then I moved it to portrait, and for some reason it doesn't seem to let me move the box around after that.
You've got to, if you click inside the box, you should get the hand icon, and then you're literally dragging from right to left. So you may be dragging the wrong way and can't get any further. So
yeah, I was going left to right. Does that not work?
Yeah, it does when you've got to the end. But when you've just put the crop in on the left-hand side, yeah, you've got to go the other way. And is it working now?
I'll try, thank you.
Okay.
Jane, how do you change the crop from landscape to portrait?
Right, so once you've got the crop box in place, you go to the lower right corner, and then you just drag inwards, and then it quickly snaps to portrait. So it doesn't work with No, it doesn't work with the side.
Alright. When I drag it, it just keeps it in landscape. It's short. makes the box smaller, but it just keeps it in
Right.
landscape.
Have you locked your original crop ratio in with the
Yes.
padlock? You've done that, yeah?
Yes, I've got it original in with the padlock locked.
Yeah,
Yes.
and then you're using that lower right-hand handle,
Uh-huh.
and then you just simply drag in, and then it just all of a sudden snaps to. So if it's not doing it, we'll have to look and see if there's something you've checked in your menus to stop it happening.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I got that far, Jane, but I still can't manage to move it for some reason.
Right, so just maybe don't go into portrait, just say drag in a short way so that you've got like a rectangle, and
Right.
then, yeah, if you just click inside one of the squares and then just drag over to the left, and then see if that's...
Any square?
Just click in any square, yeah.
I don't know why it's not working, because that's what I'm trying. I'll try again, thanks.
Is everybody else getting it to move or not?
Yeah, mine moved.
Yours moved okay? Then the other thing to look at is that keyboard press for O to cycle through the different crop overlays. Then when you get to something really useful like the golden section, you can, some of these have additional presets, so you can hit the shift key and then twist it round, and then it'll cycle through all the options for golden section. And so that's a really useful compositional tool for the optimum position to place something. So this, where the spiral comes round, on mine it's coming in lower left at the moment, goes round, then where you've got that curve at the end, that's the optimum position to place whatever it is within the picture space that's most important. And I mean, you see examples of this throughout nature. It's always been used in art history, so it's an important tool when using composition. So if you press the shift key and O for orange, the letter O, then it will go through all of those options. And then if you go back to O, it will go through the rest of the different cycles.
Jane, can I ask what the task is that they're doing?
Yes, so we're just going to finish off it was Lightroom Part 2, the handout, and so we've picked up on just doing a search for TYLR22, which is this image you can see on my screen at the moment.
Yeah.
We've gone into the crop tool and we've looked at locking the original ratio by clicking on the little padlock, and then we've looked at how we can drag in the crop and how it snaps into portrait orientation, still keeping to the original image perspective. Okay, so it literally snaps in when you drag in from the lower right hand handle, when you drag that in.
Right.
So that's the first thing that we're looking at.
Thank you.
Jane, mine doesn't go into the portrait mode.
Right. So you're taking the lower right handle and dragging it inwards, yeah? And then as you take it in, it should just snap into place.
I will do it then. Right.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
It doesn't work. I mean, if I take a side handle that doesn't work. It just gets smaller and smaller. It yeah, it will work with the top right handle as well.
Right. Thank you.
And it will work with the lower left. Will it work with upper? It should do, yeah, and upper left. So the only one it's not working with are the side handles for that. And if you want to see the longhand for this, if you go to the Tools menu, then it's Crop Guide Overlay, then you'll see all of the different overlays that they've actually got, plus the cycle and what you can choose. Right, has everybody had a look at that, or are we still doing that? You okay? Right, so we'll look at another quite useful feature, and that's using a snapshot just to capture something that you've done that you might want to refer back to. So I've unlocked my original, my little padlock there, and then that means I can choose a different type of crop for this particular image. So maybe I'll go to 1:1, okay, and that's given me the square crop. Again, I can move that around within the picture space until I get something that I'm pleased with. Now, if I click Done, I can then go into my left-hand panel where it says Snapshots, and I can click plus. And then it gives you a date and time of what you've done, or you can just delete that text and then just put in something that's appropriate, okay? And then click Create. So that means you can go back to what you've done at any point, okay? Then you simply press Reset, okay? And then I could think, okay, I might just do something slightly different, and then perhaps do widescreen, 16:9, go for that crop, done, and then take a snapshot of that. And then I might just say, call that widescreen, create. And then with my various crops in place, because I've obviously done this before, I can have a look to see if I like 16:9, or if I like, well, it was widescreen that I used, or if I like square. So you can just compare what you've done by using that snapshot feature. Okay. And you want to have a little look at that.
So are the snapshots saved on your hard drive, or the snapshots just there until you move something else?
Yeah, so the snapshots will just stay in Lightroom. Okay, so they're saved, that information is saved within that particular image because it's like an edit that's being carried out.
So it'll be in the same catalogue as
Yes.
the original image?
Yes.
Fine.
Yeah. Did anybody not manage to do that snap feature that we were working on before, or did it work eventually?
No, I can't find how you do that, Jane.
Right, so that was
That couldn't really work, wasn't it, Jane?
okay, so that was just when you're within the crop module, and then you're taking that right hand handle inwards, and as you drag it in, it'll snap to portrait orientation. So, for example, it's easier if you work with the original image so that you've got a larger image space, and then the original perspective's locked with the little padlock. Then you just take a corner handle, and as you drag it inwards, so you're dragging in towards the centre of the picture space, it just jumps from what it was before, landscape, into portrait. But it'll only work with a corner handle.
Right.
All good so far? We need a few more minutes on
Yeah,
that.
apparently.
It worked, did it?
Yeah.
Did it work, James, or not? Is it still...
I was trying. I'm very trying as I get to it.
So you're literally just taking it diagonally across the image towards the centre, and then it just snaps into portrait.
Yes, that's good, Jane. Thanks.
Oh, good. Okay.
When I did the 5x7, Jane, it made it a lot smaller. It took quite a lot out of the image. I was just wondering why that would be. It looks like it might almost be a 5x7.
It's quite a large image, actually. I haven't got the dimensions here, but in Photoshop, it's much larger. So when you do go for a drastic crop, yes, it's you're going to lose a lot of pixels there.
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
Are we ready to do the next thing, or are we still doing that? Few more minutes.
Jane, when I've gone 5x7, it hasn't made a great deal of difference to the actual image itself.
Right, so I'll do it on my one. So I've gone to 3 different ones. I mean, it could be that it's already been cropped in. So on this one, yeah.
Oh, that cropped in's gone just like that, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. There's not a huge amount at the side. I was expecting it to be quite a bit more, because I think it's probably been cropped already.
Maybe I started off with the black and white and then put the colour back in, so maybe that's what it was.
Well, if you went back to the colour, that'll have gone back to the original. You know, with it being like a raw file, obviously, you know, you can just reset and go back to your previous version, which is really useful, because if you look at the film strip at the bottom, where you've got all the little thumbnails of all of the images, if you right click on that film strip, and then you can choose create a virtual copy, and then what that does, it just means that you can have as many versions of a particular image as you like, because then you can have, say, a coloured one, a black and white one, different crops, and just see how an image can look so very different, or have different versions for different purposes. So you just simply right click, you choose create virtual copy, and then another version appears which you can work on in the film strip, and then apply like different edits to. And then you can still just use it as a normal image. So you can be working on your virtual copy, and then when you're done, you can still export it as you would any image.
So many tricks, just need to remember them all.
So with that virtual copy, Jane, does it save all of the changes for both copies into the same DNG file, does it?
It'll have like a separate file, so when you, which is more relevant when you export it. So if I choose, so it's listed as image 13, the virtual copy, copy 3. If I choose to export that, then it'll export with its own DNG file.
All right. Okay.
So it's a really useful feature, but you don't always want to export. You know, it could be, it's just like you might want to use the snapshot feature, because that's another way of just stepping back, or you might just want to have these different versions for different purposes. So it's useful to remember, create a virtual copy. I mean, a lot of this, these like little hints and tips are in the handouts anyway. So there's definitely one of the handouts will have virtual copy in it.
Jane, these images that for the classwork, are they on the classroom or somewhere? Because I don't have them all, I've just got a few.
Right. It could be that when you've used your filter, that you've maybe just got a few that are visible. So we imported them into Lightroom class images. So you should have about 30. I've maybe added a couple of extras. So that you should have a...
about 12.
You've got 12?
Thereabouts, yeah.
Right. So it could be that you haven't got them all downloaded. So in week 1, in week 1 we had all the files. So just have a little look. Week 1, Lightroom provided files, and that was like the compressed archive. What I can do, if you're struggling to get the zip files actually downloaded and saved, I can just send them to you through WeTransfer.
Right.
because if something isn't unzipped properly or decompressed, what can happen is the content is missing. So it could be between Classroom and your computer. If it hasn't worked right for whatever reason, it could be that you're missing some files.
Right. Well, I'll try again, see if I can download them all in.
Okay, but see if you can get by without having to do it tonight, because it'll, take like a bit of time to do that. Right, are we ready to do the next thing? We are?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. So the next thing we're going to do, I'll just demo it first, and then you've got a separate handout for this. So we're moving on from the first part, the intro to Lightroom part 1 and part 2. So the next thing that we're going to do is just click on text, and then we're just going to do a different search, and this time it's for TYLR59. Okay. So that is a house, right? Now, you probably won't have this file, so you're going to have to get this off Classroom, all right? So this is more practice of the same. So I'll run through the procedure first so that everybody can get the file before we do the next bit, okay? Now, in Classroom, what you'll see is correcting perspective, file and handout. All right. So the first thing you'll see it's not zipped. So to keep it simple, I haven't done any zipping. And then first of all, you go to the image and then you just click to download and save it somewhere on your computer, which would be sensible to say save on your desktop, for example. So you save that on your desktop. And then I'll just go back to the normal view. Within Lightroom, you just simply go to import. So we know the target collection is the Lightroom class images that we just looked at before. We'll just go back to that. So that is where we've got all of the Lightroom work, all of the Lightroom images we've saved so far. If you've been downloading more content and you haven't, say, set this as your target collection, then you can always right click on the collection and choose set as target collection. And then you get the little plus. So we know that is the target collection. So we just simply go to import as if we're importing something new. And then that brings up the import dialog box, and then we go back to source. So the source, if I click on there at the very top, if I want to navigate specifically to somewhere, I can come down. So I'm suggesting you save the file on your desktop. So under files, desktop comes up. If it doesn't come up on yours, you can choose other source and navigate to desktop. So I would say desktop, and then here it would bring up that image of the house, okay, because I've saved it on my desktop. And then everything's looking good. So then I can just copy this, then go to add to collection, and then I can choose to add it to that target collection, and then come down and import. Right? Now, if on your desktop you've got more images, you can go to uncheck all, right? Then just look for the one that you've saved to your desktop, and then just click to put a tick in the box. Okay? That's the next thing to do. Right, just tell me when you've done it, and then we'll do the next thing. Or if you're stuck, or if it's not working.
So we just had to import it in, Jane, is that right?
Yeah, we just download it, save it the desktop, and then import it into the Lightroom class images. Now, if it hasn't gone in, because it, for whatever reason, once it comes in, if you've got the Lightroom class images collection set as a target collection with a plus next to it, then you just click on the house and press B, and that'll put it in with all the others.
Right, okay, yeah. Ah, yes, yeah.
It's worked okay?
Yeah, thank you. Yes, it hadn't imported in automatically, but I just did what you said there, press B, and it's brought it into the same target collection.
Excellent. So just remember, if you say go out and take your own photos, that when you import a new lot into Lightroom, you might want to set the latest import as target collection because it's easier. And then when you come back to do the classwork stuff, that you can just return to that collection, right click and set that as the target collection.
Yeah, thank you.
How's everybody else doing?
I'm having a complete nightmare tonight, Jane. A total nightmare. I feel like I understand nothing. I'm completely lost off.
Right. Have you downloaded the image?
Yes, I have. But then I don't know what I'm doing after that.
Right, so you've downloaded it and you can find it.
Well, I don't know what screen I'm in now in Lightroom. I've got copy highlighted at the top. I haven't got desktop under source on the left-hand side, but I have got it. I've just noticed it on the right-hand side.
So have you saved the image on the desktop?
Well, that was what I told you to do. I'm just have a look at the desk. Yes, I have. Yes,
excellent,
I have. Yes.
So in source, that's exactly what you do. So you're just selecting where that image is. So you just go in source, just navigate to desktop, and then if there's
I can't see desktop at all in source. That's the trouble. I cannot see. I can see it in destination, but I can't see it in source.
Right. So when you go to
and
the
I've
drop,
tried sort of expanding all the,
Right. So when you go to the very top where it says from, so it's got like on mine it's Macintosh HD. It could be yours might say Windows C, where it's got from, and then where it whatever that explanation is for where from. You click the drop down arrow, and when you do that, can you see desktop there?
No.
No. Can you see other source?
I can see documents, program files, users, windows, but I've so expanded them I can't see desktop in any of them. Oh, what have I done there? Don't know what I've done there. Oh
right.
God.
And
a total nightmare here.
And above where it's got source, where it's got the panel source, look above there, and then you should see the word from. Can you see that? The word from above that panel that says source.
I've lost source now.
Well,
clicked something, I don't know what, and I've lost. I just this is where you really miss being in the college, isn't it?
So are you
because I just don't know what I'm looking at all.
Are you still in the import dialog? Are you still in the import screen?
Well, when I click on import, I've got a much smaller screen has appeared. Select a source.
Right. Now above and
the desktop's appeared on that.
Yeah. Right, okay. Above the word source, you should see from, and it'll say like Windows C or something, and then a drop-down menu where you can select desktop. Graham, if you're home and dry, I would suggest you just start reading the handout, correct and perspective, and then I'll go through it shortly, okay?
Sure, okay, thank you.
Oh dear me.
Can you see desktop now, Anne, at the
Right,
very
I've
top?
got that.
Yes, so it's coming from the
Yes,
yeah.
but now I've got all sorts of photographs that I want. So I've forgotten what I said about getting the one that you do want.
So just choose uncheck all. So at the bottom of that middle panel, uncheck all. Can you see that button?
Which panel?
So in the middle panel, where it's got the photos that it's found on the desktop, you'll see a box that says uncheck all.
No, I can't see that.
Right.
I've got alt and capture on.
Right, if you just go to the top of the thumbnail, you can click to take a tick out of the box of things you don't want. And then just leave a tick in the one you do want. I'll come back to you, Anne. I just need to ask if everybody else has got the file. Has everybody else got the file or not? Heather, have you got the file?
Yeah, got it.
Maggie's got it?
Yeah, I've looked.
Yeah.
Yes, got it.
Right, okay. Lindsay, Heather? Doug, have you got the file?
Yes, I got it. Yeah.
All right, okay. So Anne, I'm just going to have to go over what they've got to do with the file, okay? And
yeah,
then
I know that's fine. Yeah, sorry, I mute myself. I've forgotten how to do that as well.
Control D. Right, I'll just go over the first part of the process. So, and don't worry, because this has been recorded and you can always see the recording, and I can always do a one-to-one with you and share screen to get this part of the process nailed, so don't worry about it. So, what we're going to be doing next is just having a look at lens correction. So, this image has come in, the image of the house, and it's TYLR59. So you could do a search for it, so that would just simply be the same process. You click on text, go to the search box, TYLR59, and then it brings the image up for you. So with the image selected, I'm just pressing D for develop. And so if you've downloaded the handout, we're just picking up on the handout. So we can see that this image needs a bit of correction. Does anybody know the term for the way that house is presenting itself when we look at it? No? Well, it's called keystoning. So the house seems to be leaning backwards. And so it's our job to have a look to see if we can fix it, basically, okay? So first thing that we're going to do is apply lens corrections, okay? So we'll just simply scroll down, and we know this is the first thing we do. I don't know why it's not at the top of the panel, but it's not. So we'll go to lens corrections, and then we need to put a tick, remove chromatic aberration. We need to put a tick, enable lens profile corrections. Now, quite often when we do that and we've got the setup at default, it auto picks up the camera make and the lens and puts the profile in. Now this hasn't happened here. So if we go to where it says make and come down to Canon, then as soon as we put in the make of camera as being Canon, then it puts in the model and the profile for us. Okay, so we need that information in order to get the best out of the transform controls. Okay, so do you want to just do that bit and then we'll do the next bit? Right, just tell me when you've done that bit and we're ready to do the next bit. Okay?
Done.
Yeah, done.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
So now we've got that information in. So just below lens corrections, we've got the transform panel. So if we click on transform, we can see we've got various tools that we can actually work with to get the best out of the image. So for start off, if I take a look at auto and see what that does, so you can see, yes, it's tried to pull everything forward. I do have like a bit of a gap either side, which I could try and fill in Photoshop using content aware, or alternatively I could crop in order to straighten. Okay, so we'll just look at like all of the options that we have at our disposal. So that's the first one. I can click auto. I can work with the verticals. So if I go to the transform controls and just try and do a bit of this manually, I can start pulling it in order to get some sort of straightening of the image. However, it's easier if you've got a grid. So if we just go to our view menu, and then if we come down to loop overlay, then we can get the grid. Okay, so the grid can be quite useful for actually working with all of these different options. So the vertical option isn't really helping that much because we're going to lose quite a lot of the sky. Level you can use quite usefully if you've got, say, a wonky horizon. That works quite well. We've looked at vertical, and if we look at full, then it kind of distorts everything way too much. So each time you try something, if you just press Command and Z, and that will take you back to where you were. If we use one of the different options, like if I use vertical and then use constrain crop, you can see what happens. It's just, yes, it's trying to straighten it, but we're losing a lot of the base. Okay, sorry, Doug, would you mind muting yourself, please, just for the feedback of noise? Thank you. So again, I'm just going to step back twice because I've tried doing two things there. So far, Auto has given quite a good sort of range of different options. Now the next thing that we can do, I'm just zooming in slightly, is use the guided upright tool. Okay, so the guided upright tool can work quite well in some cases. So basically the way that works, you click to select, and then you click on, say, one of the columns, and then you draw out a line. Then you click on another column and draw out a line, and then it attempts to fix the verticals. So a lot of this depends on how much space you've got surrounding the image. Because sometimes you might have shot an image wide, so you've got lots of space. Other times maybe not so much. So this can be particularly useful. Not always, because sometimes you haven't got the space that it needs. But then if we do the horizontals as well, and then you can see how it's trying to pull the image in. I'll step back from that one. And then I'm going to go back to my Auto. So Auto has given quite a good balance between leaving some sky at the top and also trying to straighten things as much as possible. You can also use these tools with aspect. So aspect, you can see, is taking everything out so it's a bit squashed in, and then if we go to the right, positive, it's going the other way. But we're getting away from the keystoning. So that's the next thing to look at in the transform panel, just seeing what all the different options do for this type of transformation, and then finishing off with the one you like best.
Jane, I might be missing something, but I don't have a transform drop down. I've got lens correction, and then I've got effect, but I haven't got transform in between.
Right. You are on a slightly different version of Lightroom, so it could.
I am.
Yeah.
And that's what I thought, but I've just Googled it, and it indicates transform was in Lightroom 6.
So
this is a video showing transform, and it says in my Lightroom 5, 6 and Classic 7, so I must be missing something. There's not really, might be a plugin in the earlier versions or something for it.
I mean, we had the same version at college for a while, and it was always there. So I wonder if it could be, if we go through the panels just to see if something has been unticked, because that can, often result in certain things being missing. You haven't got a transform tool, have you?
Transform tool.
Anything that looks like a transform?
Crop, spot removal, red eye removal, graduated filter, radial filter, adjustment brush. Those are the tools across.
That you haven't got anything, yeah. So the other option that you can look at, if you can't find it, is using crop and straighten, and then using that, because then you should have like an angle tool that you can move around, vary the angle. You should have and then the aspect tool, which you can use for straighten.
Right. Yes.
But we'll investigate why you haven't got.
Yeah. That's right. My first thought was, it must be just introducing a later version. But then, like I say, I've seen this video which suggests it's in my version. But okay. Right. I'll do some hunting as well. Thanks, Jim.
Yeah. Okay. It's a bit strange, that, isn't it? I haven't seen that disappear before.
No, very weird.
What have you got as your process version? In settings, you should have process version in settings. Does it? What version is?
Just look. So, what menu option is that under? Sorry, Jane.
In settings. So,
settings.
Yeah.
Got it. Yes. Process version. Did you say?
Yeah, process version.
Right. Sorry. So it's set at 2012. Current. It's 2012, 2010, 2003.
Okay. And that's,
it just says process rather than process version. But,
okay, but you've got a year.
Yeah, 2012.
And it's the current one.
Yeah. I'm just typing into Google now. Can't find transform menu in Lightroom and see what
see if Google knows where it's gone.
Exactly.
Right, in Window, if you go Window and Panels, then come down and make sure you've got Transform. On a Mac, it's Command 7. It's probably Control 7 on Windows. Make sure you've got it ticked.
Yeah, Control 7 here is shown as effects. So under panels, I've got detail, lens correction, effects, camera calibration. It just doesn't have transform in that menu.
So it's not in there. Because, I mean, that's, you know...
yeah, I'm just wondering maybe it actually isn't in this version.
Well, if it's not, I mean, you can still... do the corrections using the crop tool and, the other things that we have within crop.
Yeah.
Because I think if you had it, it would have been in with panels. It would have been listed there.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah. Right. So it says it's in Lightroom 6.6. I bet you I'm not on 6.6. I bet I'm just on 6. That's probably what it is.
That's probably what it is. Yes.
Whereabouts is the guided upright tool?
Right. So, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah. So you see where it's like, it looks a bit like a crop tool. It's just like, that. So it's to the left of upright. That's what it is.
Oh, is that on an auto? Is it?
So it's independent of auto. So it's above off.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay,
and then when you click on it, it comes out, and then the circle's left behind, and then you can just draw a little line, which will turn out to be a big line, and then you can do your verticals, and then you can do a horizontal as well.
That's great, thank you.
What is quite useful when you're doing this to tick show loop at the bottom of the image. that little box there, because show loop actually gives you a larger preview of where you're going to put the little line, and so it helps you get a bit more accurate.
Right, that's great, thanks.
Jane, that's the first time I've actually managed to stream that building the first time.
Oh, good.
After many months of trying, I've done it.
Well done. But you find that loop view is really good for this type of work.
Mm.
How are we doing? Have we all managed to do that or not yet? Anne, did you manage to get that image?
I got the image and I was sort of fiddling around and doing what you were saying, but somehow where I'm going wrong here, Jane, is I don't understand the absolute basics. I don't understand about importing and collections, and not helped by the fact that I've been working on two different computers, one upstairs and one downstairs.
Right.
And I'm just in a right sort of mess. So although, I mean, could I have been working on it without actually having imported it?
No, you need to import it.
Right, well, I thought I had, but now I can't find it again. So,
So, Anne, I think what would be useful if you let me know when you've got some free time and you and I work together on this just to sort out the basics.
yes, because I'm having a complete nightmare. I've gone wrong right way back at the very beginning, and I've never sort of caught up since then at all.
Right.
And the basics I don't understand, catalogues, collections and all that.
Right.
That's where I'm going wrong.
Okay.
I think the actual editing and things, I think I would have no problem with that. Well, you know, when I say no problem, I mean less problem with that kind of stuff. It's the importing and I don't understand the difference between catalogues, collections, and exactly how to add them, or
okay, that's
where I'm going wrong. And then I've tried to do it on two different computers and got even more confused.
Well,
so
I
thought I was editing that one. I was doing all those things, you know, straightening it and so on.
Yeah.
In Lightroom. So I thought I had imported it, but now I can't find it. And when I'm searching for it, I can't find it. So,
right. Well,
I don't know what I'm doing.
Right.
Basically.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, Anne.
Yeah.
I've got some free time either tomorrow or Thursday afternoon if you want to.
Well, that's funny that you should say that, because did you say earlier about that piece of work was due the Tuesday after half term?
Uh-huh.
Because we're actually going away on Thursday and not coming back till that Tuesday. So there's no way I'm going to be able to do that. I was going to actually email.
And don't worry, what I'll do instead, I'll record a video, which I had meant to actually do before this week, but I just haven't had a chance to do it. But I have got some free time tomorrow. So what I'll do is I'll record a video of the basics, and then you can just watch it as many times as you need to.
Yeah. Thank you. I mean, I think if I can get that sorted,
yes,
this other kind of stuff I'll be all right with, actually. But it's just the basics, really.
Right.
And I would have been better if I'd have stuck to one PC, but my husband does this kind of thing. He does editing of people's x-rays and things for his job, and I suddenly found I had all sorts of photographs there. So I'm having to say, you don't want them in. He would worry about that for data protection and things. So I'm thinking, oh my God, what have I done here? So I've got people's hip joints and all sorts.
Right. Well, we'll sort it out, Anne. So we'll not worry about that for the moment. Right. The rest of you, have you managed to straighten the house? Yeah. Okay. That's excellent. And again, if anybody else is struggling with those basics, then you can just watch that video and play that back as many times as needs be. So the next thing we'll have a look at is detail and sharpening, just because obviously sharpening is really important. So once the house is done, I'm just going to go back into the library module. Anne, would you just mind cutting your mic?
Oh, sorry.
There?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Forbes, are you going now, or did you want to say something?
Well, I'm with you for another 5 or 6 minutes.
Okay. So this time we're going to do a search for TYLR36, and so that goes in the search box, and then the pink gerbera appears, and then we're just pressing D to go into the develop module. Okay, so if everybody wants to just get that image, do a search for it, and then pop into the develop module with the gerbera. And if you want to get rid of that grid, just go view and then loop overlay and then untick grid. Right. Have we all got that, or are we still doing it?
Yeah, I've got it.
Okay. Everyone else got it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Forbes, would you just mind cutting your mic there, please, just so that the sound's a bit better? That's it.
Done.
Thank you. So we've opened up the flower, and then if we go to the navigator on the left hand side, we can view the flower at 100%, and we can move the navigator box around the flower in order to inspect what it's like at 100%. So we can see where the sharpening needs to take place, in other words. So it's quite useful to be able to do that as a matter of good practice, to see where issues lie with regards to any image. Once we've done that, if we go to this little tool in the detail panel, so the detail panel is where all the sharpening and noise reduction takes place. So if we choose that little tool, then we can move around the flower and choose any part of the flower to appear within the inspection window. And then if you click, that fixes it. So that little tool is really, really useful for that. We move it around until you get to where you need to be. So we can take the sharpening amount down to 0 and then just crank that sharpening up, so we can see in the panel just how that's actually working. So if we take it up to just over 100, and then we've got this before and after, which will just let you turn off the effect. So you can turn it off and turn it on. So when it's off, the panel's grey, turn it on, and then the panel lights up again. And then if you want to check a different part of the image, just get that little tool again, and then just move around until you have a look at like different parts of the image using that tool to navigate. So that's where the sharpening amount comes in. The radius we keep as low as possible. So that's how far the software is searching for pixels to sharpen. The detail panel, now that we can be using just to create a balance between a sharper flower and keeping noise at bay. So again, detail we don't want to have too high. And then masking with our option key down, at the moment you can see everything is white. That means all of the flower is being sharpened. But now if we just drag the masking slider, we can see that the white areas are being sharpened and the black areas are not. Okay, so masking gives you that fine control over where you actually want the sharpening to take place. We'll just pick that up again and drag that through. So just really want it in certain parts of the image, so around the 85 mark works quite well. And then when you've done the sharpening, again you can switch it off, switch it on, and see what sort of difference it's actually made.
So when you're moving that masking around, Jane, if it's showing black, does that mean it's not applying the masking, and where it's white it is applying? It is applying sharpening.
Yeah, so it's sharpening. So if I go here, right, with zero masking, everything's being sharpened at white. Okay, right. That's the whole lot.
Yeah.
And then you're gradually taking that slider up, and you're deciding where you want to target your sharpening to.
Right, okay, thank you.
Is it just prioritising the more detailed areas of the photo, Jane?
That's your creative decision. So, you know, sometimes you might decide, oh, for a certain image that, you know, when you're looking at it at 100%, that's the point where you're thinking, oh yeah, it needs sharpening all over, or it just needs sharpening the central part. So if you've been controlling depth of field, so maybe parts of the flower you want to be soft, because they're slightly out of focus, and what you don't want to do is, where an area is soft, is to sharpen it to give the appearance of sharpness when it's not really there to start with, if that makes sense. So if
so when you sorry, I was just going to say, when you're doing the masking, it's looking for the areas that are harder, as you say.
Yes, you are telling it though, with that option key held down, because at the default it's just going to say, right, everything gets sharpened 114. But that's not really what is often required. So this use of the masking is just to say, right, there's only certain parts like the outline of the petals, because some of it you might want a little bit soft anyway, and then you just take that slider up, carefully looking to see how far you're going with it. And then again, going back to 100% and checking this by moving around the flower to see just how good it is. And it's also a good point to check any dust spots that you might have as well that need fixing.
Jane, what have I not got checked? Because I don't have the picture, the little picture at the side. I've got the big picture, and I've got the 100% picture, but I don't have the little detailed picture at the side above sharpening.
have you got the detail, the box open? So detail,
I've got the box
yeah,
open.
then
I can do
detail
both.
is sharpening. That's another little box to open. So
Right,
these,
okay.
yeah, it's probably that, I would think.
It is that. You're absolutely right. That's what it is. Right, got it. Thank you.
Oh. It can be just so tidy, this interface. You sort of really have to hunt around for all these things. Now what you can often see using the details slider together with the Option or the Alt key, when you hold it down and drag, you can see how the noise is being affected, because often with heavy edits you can introduce noise, and so with your 100% view you can see, holding down Option, if you're increasing the noise in the image. Okay, then you can pull back that detail slider if you find that there is too much noise coming in. So I'm taking that right the way down, just around 7 to 8, just to minimise noise. So it's really a balance that you're trying to achieve between getting an image that's sharper and also not increasing noise.
Sorry, Jane, how can you tell you've got too much noise?
If you look under sharpening, there's a detail slider. Then if you hold down the Alt or the Option key and then drag that, you get a grayscale preview. And as you drag detail upwards, you can see that noise is being amplified. And so basically you just take that detail slider back down, because you're aiming to get that balance between a sharper image and not adding in any more noise. It's like speckling that's appearing.
Before it goes grey?
Yeah. Well, if the further the slider, the further the slider goes, you can see it. So keeping detail down quite low. In this case, anything between 5 to 7 works quite well.
Okay, thank you.
Right, so let's see what else we've got for this evening. So if you could have a look at that individual learner journey, please, and just upload that so that I can take a look to see that we're on the right track with that, please, by when we come back. In terms of other work, we've done our correcting perspective, we've done our detail and sharpening, and then that just leaves one project for you to work with. That's the colour and luminance range masks. And so that's simply a way of adding a mask in order to prevent edits going over onto something in a skyline. So it could be you've got bridge towers and you want to leave them as they are, and then you want to improve the sky. So using colour and luminance ranged masks is a way of doing that. Or it could be a way of changing the colour of something. So that's the one I shall leave you with. And so all that remains is for me to say have a lovely half-term break. Enjoy the time if you are going away. and I shall see you all after half term.
Jane, could I just ask, what's the work, what has to be done at home?
Yeah, I just want you to have a look at the last project, the colour and luminance range masks. So you've got a file and handout for that, okay? The files you've already got in your collection that you've picked up on. We've been over the course template, and that's just something to start adding content to, and also to have a look at the ILJ and to start adding content to that, please. Okay.
Great.
Thank you.
No problem.